Welcome back to a new day, everybody. Just had some breakfast. We're sitting here on this half-collapsed bank that probably during the floods this season will be completely swallowed by the river. And yeah, I'm just coming back to grab my hat because I figure it's gonna be a hot one today. Some showers predicted in the afternoon, but you know, plenty of sunlight to burn a guy. Can't say I'm just, you know, springing out of bed with energy at the moment, but feeling all right. Not too stiff, not too sore. 5 hours of digging yesterday, and we're on at least some amount of gold. So rather than continually guessing how much I might have and then guessing that I have like 10 ounces and only have like 2 grams, probably just time to go dig. High banker is like just, it's the first model, it's the prototype, and I'm looking at, okay, maybe I should make this 1.5 inches taller next time, and you know, maybe this could be designed in that way, or like little things, right? But overall, I could take this unmodified and just run it for the rest of the year. It's just running really, really nice. So looking forward to getting some more gravel through it and hopefully finishing off this little strip we've been working so that we can get out. It's just nicer camping and spending the day on a bigger gravel bar than this little side strip, but figured, hey, we found it, there's acceptable gold in it, so let's dig. On that note, let's go dig. So I just did a test pan all the way down by where the pump is, and there's about 210, I mean very roughly estimated, 210 colors. And so basically the plan is that for every shovel we're putting in between 150 when we go a little bit deeper. So I dug this down a little bit and it goes down to like 100 if I take another scoop, but it's 150 there and about 200 on the surface. And just sort of got this set up right now. You can see the 2 flows of water. Very, very even distribution of water, and right now this is all just blonde sands in the box. Just started out here, and basically coming down the bank here, it's a little tricky setting up the high banker, but I've got a 50-foot length of hose attached to this, probably 30-foot length of hose, so the pump's way down there. Makes it nice and quiet and calm to work. And yeah, we're just chewing apart the gravel bar here, and then let me just throw you down in this direction. This here's the line of, this is all undug, untouched. This is basically all that bank gets torn apart by the ice and sort of pulled along, and the water kind of cleans it up down here because there hasn't been a flood yet. Of course, our tents are up on like a half landslided section that'll be gone after the floods, and then like everything, where was the line here? So this is all undug, and then you can see the dug part, and then this here is after we've gone through with all of our tailings redistributed everywhere. So this is where our little tailings pond was yesterday, and we basically just raked the berm that we'd built back to cover all of the sand. And so, you know, for the other river users, just for the looks, like for environmental purposes, it's like if you leave a giant pool where a fish could swim into and get trapped as the water changes, that would be a problem. But this is just, in my opinion, it's best practices. When we leave, nobody can really tell we've been here, or at any given time if somebody comes by, they're like, cool, that guy just set up for the day. You don't have like a giant, you know, dig site set up. And it's just, I mean, everyone has their different perspective on things, but when you're in canoe culture and then you don't know anything about mining and you see an operation set up like this, you're like, oh cool, just some guys hobby mining doing their thing, as opposed to like, man, that guy's like excavating the bank or something like that, right? So just as a, I think it's good practice to just sort of leave no trace, so to speak. Just makes other river users' experiences a little bit nicer. But that's neither here nor there, as long as you're following your regulations in your area and you're not like oil changing into the river and all that. But anyways, time to help Chris dig and get some gold. So we're using this bucket underneath the high banker to collect the coarse tailings, and then rather than just shovel down the pile, like we're using these tailings to kind of create a ever expanding tailings pond to grab like the silt that's dropping out. And essentially we gotta have the high banker up pretty high in order to sit on top of this bucket. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna slot it down on one side, over and back, so we can kind of tuck in under the high banker, and it'll just let us, it's like, we don't need a full bucket of rocks, it's pretty heavy anyways, but this will just let us tuck it under that high banker a little bit easier without having the high banker quite as high up next time we move. There you have it, folks. Gold mining. It's practically just wood carving. Let's go see how this thing fits in. I can sit right like that. I won't need it as high. Brought this rake, and it's actually been a bit of a VIP because we were able to smooth out a spot for our tents, which was kind of nice. And then just this sort of high water mark, a little bit of the, you know, this stuff. I'm basically, I mean, it looks terrible because I'm using one hand on video, but yeah, you just peel everything off, let her float down the river, and I'm just preparing the next spot. We're not going to move the pump, so I've just got a shorter length of hose here. So the high banker is going to sit right about here. Then I've got that flexible line at the end to like do your fine adjustments. And yeah, just running back down there. Just keep building out our little tailings pond as we go. And yeah, moving ground. See here, there's a ton of black sand filtering out through the box. We've got a double level sluice, so this splits the water perfectly evenly. It should be 24 inches wide total at the bottom, two 12-inch boxes, and it tapers out from 8 at the top, so 16 to 24. The hopper, I mean, everything about this sluice I'm happy with. There's some subtle changes I do need to make, angles, adjustments, but it's working really good, and I just want a way that I can actually see how well it's working that I could replicate in the future. So step one, and I'll pass you that. Watch your finger in front of the camera. Basically, step one is the box has to be full. In my opinion, this miner's moss, if it's empty and you just shovel until it's full of black sand, you're going to capture pretty much everything, but I don't want to have to clean out that often. It fills completely with black sand within the first like 50 to 100 shovels, depending on where you are. So the box has been run now for about 2 hours. It is completely full. So this is like worst case scenario for miner's moss. Totally full of black sand. You saw the black sand coming out the bottom. Basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do my best to hit a 2 yards per hour feed rate, which would be, according to my shovels, 270 shovels per yard, give or take. And so that works out to every 6.6 seconds, put a shovel in the box. So right now it's sort of running empty a little bit, so I want it to be completely full of fresh black sand, fresh stuff. So I'm going to put 10 full shovels into the box at that rate, and then on the last shovel I throw a tub underneath, put in the next shovel, pull the tub out, so the tub's only going to be in there for like 1 shovel's duration, and immediately put another tub in. And so we're going to get to see how much comes out steady state shovel per shovel. So if there's 200 colors per shovel going in, and I see 10 colors coming out, well, I'm at a 95% capture rate. But then I'm gonna let it sit like this, empty, we'll say for like 2 minutes. And at the end of that 2 minutes, I'm gonna take that box out and we're gonna see what our scour is. So if I was overfeeding the sluice, we're probably going to see a fair bit of scour coming out the bottom. I don't know what to expect here. It's only a 3-foot long box, but it's running real nice and smooth. So I'm just going to get straight to work. Everything's good. We're going to go for 10 shovels, and I'm just going to do my best to guess every 6 seconds. Lost count, we'll go 2 more. Big shovel. Last one. Shovel goes in. Tub goes under. Shovel goes in. Tub comes out. Not an exact science. So now we wait 2 minutes to let the scour happen. Arguably I could actually just put the tub in now because I only want to see scour, so we'll get a bit of a shovel going through and some scour, but all good. I'm going to start panning this out, and then in a couple minutes we'll see what's in this tub here as well. What I've noticed in the past, this tub is going to have a lot higher percentage of black sand, as that black sand scours out more slowly. So that's why I really want to see how much gold is in this tub relative to what I have in here. Now Chris, would you say that's been at least 2 minutes?
Not quite.
Not quite. All right, let me know when it's 2 and I'll pull it out. Could just leave it for 5, but I think 2 is a good enough tell. In fact, we can do another test. First 2 minutes of scour, that'll let some black sand out, expose that gold, go to danger zone. Then I'll just leave this in for the next 5 or 10 minutes, and we'll see if running your box at full speed while you're having lunch is a good or a bad idea. A lot of material. I probably got a shovel and a half worth in here. The material I'm feeding is somewhere between 150 and 250 colors in a shovel. Pretty good spot. I sometimes get nervous leaving the high banker running for this long empty, so I'm really curious to know, like, should you let it run for no longer than 2 minutes, or can you actually you know what I mean? We'll find out. Okay, so I'm just gonna do my best to count here. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces that I can actually see. And then there's some real micro, like, dust here and there. Let me just see if I can actually count. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, I have 23 pieces, and they're almost entirely like absolute micro speck pieces, if I'm being really honest. So 23. Okay, now I guess from a color count perspective, if there was 200 colors that went in and I got 20 colors that came out, that would be what? That would be a 10% loss? Yeah, but on balance, all those colors were really small colors, so your percentage by weight is probably better than that. Okay, this is what we have left over from the 2 minutes of scour out. I'm seeing less black sand than I was expecting. So what that means is we were still scouring out blonde sand, which means that we were overfeeding that box. So at our current feed rate, we fill a 20-liter tub in 10 seconds, and my target is, I think, 8 seconds to get the 20 gallon per hour flow rate per foot of sluice width. So I would say that either I fed that too fast, or my water flow could be improved, because in the scouring, I mean, 2 minutes sitting there, there's 7 colors in this pan. So that's not bad at all. And finally, I'm assuming it's been 5 minutes?
Just over.
Just
5:30.
Right. So there's 5 minutes. We're gonna pull this out. Really don't need to classify this. I'm kind of curious what's actually in the classifier, if anything, so let's find out. Make sure this pan's actually empty. Huh. There's still gold in the pan. It just sticks to the bottom. So I don't know if I actually even lost as much as I saw myself losing there. All right. Very little comes out. It'll be a quick pan. Just a ton of black sand in this one. You can just see how much black sand. Wow. We'll let you get a close-up on that, see if you can see anything. It'd be right here. So there's one piece by my fingertip, right there. I think there's a couple little pieces here. So there's maybe like 5 micro specks. And that was 5 minutes of scour. So, what we're gonna figure out here is we're gonna figure out how fast I was actually feeding it. I was probably overfeeding the box, like faster than the yards per hour. And our water flow right now, which is filling a tub up in about 10 seconds, I can probably increase that, because we basically found nothing in the scour. So this mat is not scouring out. It's like holding onto that gold for dear life. But because the water flow is so low right now, it can't keep up the feed rate. Well, I mean, it can. It's, what was it? 90% capture rate if you're looking at number of specks, and probably about 95 if you're looking at total weight. So finally, and we'll get this on video, me shoveling it, panning it and everything, but I'll show you one shovel full of what's in the bank, so you can see, like, you know, if I'm only shoveling 20 colors into it, then I'm losing a lot, right? So I'm gonna show you what we were actually shoveling into, because it was a pretty rich spot. I've counted this off camera, and this is, like, you know, as accurately as a guy can count, and what shows up. I think with that focus enhancer you can get it right up close there. You sort of hold it flat to the pan and point it down.
How does that work?
Like, well, it's just like little see stuff close up. I don't know. It's kind of hard to see gold this small. But essentially, I counted 240. So for math, if we say that this is 220 colors, and we saw 22 little colors out the bottom. Basically, I would say that I was feeding it slightly quickly, and the amount of water flow that I have running through the box right now is slightly low. So that would mean that, like, in the scour, we saw pretty much nothing coming out. Like, this thing's holding on to gold. With some other mats I've tested, I would have seen maybe 25%, 20% losses in the shovel-to-shovel test. So here I'm at 10% losses. That's a gain. But then in the scour test, I would have had 3,000-4,000 colors in there after the couple minutes of scouring out. And so that is a that is a definite win for this mat. One thing really interesting that Chris noted while he was watching this is if you have a quick look at the sluice here, you can see how you can see the grading and everything, right? So what I'm gonna do, we're gonna throw a shovel in. Remember it's 10 seconds to fill the 20-liter tub, so a little slow, but we're gonna count how long it takes. So 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, 4 1,000, 5 1,000, 6 1,000. Now you can start seeing the grade again. So this is now time to throw in your next shovel. So I would argue that during that test, I was overfeeding it, even though the theory is 2 yards an hour for a 24-inch wide box. Remember, I'm only 8 inches wide at the top, and I do need to turn up my water flow. So I'm glad I did this test because it's confirming I've got good enough recovery for a little box like this that weighs 30 pounds, and like way better than I was seeing with some other mats. And this is worst case scenario, full of black sand, been digging at this spot for a couple hours already. So overall I am happy. Wouldn't mind a little more sluice. Obviously more gold is better, but I would say if I increase the water flow and slow my feed rate, I'm gonna see like phenomenal, acceptable recovery for what I can just dig all day out here at the side of the river. That's all I have for you. I just basically wanted to do this as a, you know, little gut check as to where everything was. And yeah, overall, I'm pretty happy. Chris prepared the next spot over here. Just dumped all the gravel into a little pile off to the side so we can feed that in. But rather than, you know, setting up on top of good pay, we've dug down the surface, which is paying the best right now. It's literally like, it can be 250 colors on the surface, and even down there is about 150 colors left. So you go much deeper than that, it goes down to about 100. So we're sticking to the top layer, but this is where the high banker is going to be set up next, relative to the boat down that direction. Pump's running real nice. We've got it on a 50-foot hose away, so it's just a little quieter, enjoying that serenity. Although just the box like banging around in the aluminum, you know, it's not a quiet hobby. It's just the rocks running through when we're digging hard. But yeah, this is a shutdown. So basically I'm gonna pick this thing up and I'm gonna set it over there, and then what I'll usually do is I'll grab a shovel of just bank run, put it in the hopper before I turn the water on, so that there's sort of that shielding layer over the surface when it first fires back up. But from the testing we did earlier today, we're capturing about 90% if I'm like overfeeding the box with a little bit too little water flow. But the scour test, like running empty at that setting, there was like nothing in the scour test, which is really, really good to see. Because with some previous mats I've used, you might be losing 20, 25, even 30% during the shovel to shovel test if you're running that hard and that hot. And then in the scour test, it's like 3,000 colors or more. And you're like, oh crap, we do not want to run this thing empty. So it's really nice that we can just turn the pump on, let it run for 2 hours, shovel when we can shovel. And then at the recovery rates that we're getting, it seems like basically shovel more, get more gold. Shovel less, your recovery percentage is probably a little bit better, but even overfeeding the box, if we're maintaining a 90% capture rate with feeding it a little bit quick, then just whatever's convenient to throw in this thing, throw in it, it gobbles it up. And yeah, overall, happy with how the day's going. Just stopping for some lunch, and then we'll keep moving on down this gravel bar, see what we can chew up out of here. Just because you don't often get like a full scene view here. Tents are up there on that collapsing bank. This right to that corner, we've dug this entire thing, and then there's our tailings all spread out, so you basically can't tell where we've been. And then looking up the bank in this direction, you can see there's sort of a raised pile below the high banker, and that's basically as the tailings come out, you just keep raising the edge so you're not directly discharging into the river. And you really can't tell the difference between here and there, other than that this is wet. But we're gonna walk all the way up until the pay runs out. And kind of one of the things I'm learning here is it's really important to just test pan, because there's no way that you could tell if this had been dug or not. Like, how do you know? You gotta actually test pan it. So that's what we're doing. We're test panning as we go. I'm just having a little snack here and sitting on my nice comfortable cooler. It's a pretty good little afternoon. Got some nice gray clouds coming in the distance, but just the colors are beautiful. It's the sounds of the birds and everything. It's a good day. 2 hours of digging, well, maybe about 2 hours and 15 minutes so far. We got that guy right there hooked up to a 30 amp hour lithium battery, which acts as a backup battery for the boat. And I simply switch this thing on. Got your little 5-volt outlet there. I'm about to charge up my phone right off the boat. Well, it seems to be raining quite heavily. High bankers, I just turned it down to half volume down there, and we're currently just hanging out under this lovely mudslide potential here. Yeah, it's not like a full day of this rain, so maybe we'll come hide here for like 15 minutes and hopefully it lets up, and then be a little more comfortable shoveling after that. Yeah, it's a little bit of deja vu down there. You got sort of where the high banker's set up over here, and then sort of run all the tailings out the end. And I don't know if you can see it, but same thing, high banker set up there, and then you got a little pile of tailings coming down the edge as we sort of build it down. But yeah, the day goes on. So we've kind of settled in on a strategy here, which is start out with the bucket when we're close to the high banker to kind of build our tailings. And then when we get to sort of the second half of the dig, then we can get rid of the bucket and just sort of sweep everything out. And sort of by balancing the two, we're sort of doing, I don't know, it feels like the least amount of work. It's a learning process. We're figuring it out. This machine is just absolutely chewing through material. All day, all day. All right, Chris, you were telling me there's some gold in this box?
There's only a couple flakes though.
Only a couple flakes?
Yeah, there's not much in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's one or two little baby specks in here.
Yeah.
I think I see one of the specks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're hard to find. There's only a couple.
Well, let's focus sensor off. So there's like a line of gold, obviously sitting right there. And then, how many hours have we worked on this? This has been probably 2.5 tanks of gas, or?
Yeah.
Well, it's 6, 10 till 6, but we had a bit of time off. Anyways, just like a little gold in that, gold in that, gold right there. Like, it's starting to add up. We go to the very bottom edge of the box, knowing that we are losing a small amount when we're hammering it really hard. A little bit of gold down here. But this is cool, like the material that's in this box, each little diamond has this perfectly shaped little pile of black sand behind it. And when there's sort of a bit of water in here, you touch it with your finger and it mixes around. There's gold mixed all in that black sand and then down into the moss. Can you see anything in the hopper?
I didn't look really.
Yeah. I mean, fair bit of black sand. This is sort of lifting up off the moss, and it's not something I'm super concerned about because I'm mainly thinking this is going to be like a surge holder. You know, you dump a couple shovels in and then it bleeds the black sand out. But we did find a fair bit of gold in here when we did our last clean out. But yeah, no, that is a very promising looking sheet. I like that this is moss because it again will hold on to material, like a lot of it, and allow it to bleed out between shovels. But this would be a perfect place to put like a inspection type mat, like, you know, just a piece of, I don't know, not V-rib, but something where you can really just see the gold pop. But man, that's exciting. Well, basically, update is we started right behind the boat. This whole bank has been dug. And then this is sort of the end result. We've been playing around with sort of the best way to try to do this efficiently. And we'd sort of pile up our coarse tailings here, and then you just keep digging out the fines as they build up. And then running up here, that's clearly the shovel line right there. So we're about to set up right over there. I've dug out a little hole. You can move the high banker there, and we'll dig up to that tree, down to here. And that'll be our last hour of the day. And then we'll do a nice clean out, hopefully not in the rain. And yeah, we've just been leaving the box completely full between every run. So it's gonna be a big one. A little bit of hail coming down, so we're both enjoying the pleasures of our cleanup tubs. Gold isn't going to dig itself though. Oh yeah. Oh, beautiful gold. And then, oh yeah. So we did okay in the hopper. This little section is very colorful, which is nice. So I guess we pull it apart, put it into the same buckets as before, so we kind of know how it all splits up. So this little piece in here, got these little fingers on it, and there's just a ton of gold loaded in this piece. So now referring to that as Goldfinger. And we're just going to throw everything into the buckets, but we're going to take Goldfinger and pan them out and just sort of see kind of how we're doing. Look at that. 2 scratches in the tub.
Oh yeah.
Just full of it. So this is Goldfinger. I'll go easy here. Slowly. Yeah. Just live carefully. Bit of soap in this water. Okay, before I put the rest in, I'm just gonna pour a little bit of this water out. Level. Okay. not a lot of material, and just like absolutely, if I was from, I don't know if it's Australia or New Zealand, absolutely chockers. Chockers. Oh, oh. Yep. Okay, so we gotta carefully collect all of this. Oh man, just against that black background. This is just pure gold. Like the Miller table tub right here. I won't be able to pan this properly, but there's easily over a gram in this. Yeah, there's more gold up here. Love to get that darn nose. Yep, just keeps adding up. Save that for the main mat. So I'm gonna just pan into the tub because yeah, that would be bad to do it any other way. I'm like, well, let's see how much blonde sand I go through until I start seeing black sand in the corners. There's a different color in the corners, Chris. And for the folks at home, yeah, this tub is gonna come home with us to the cleanup sluice. So I want to see like the little flash in the pan is all. Man, there not be any cracks in this tub. Look at that. And that's all from this. The gold fingers. There's so much more moss in this box. Oh yeah, no, that's nice. That is nice. That's very nice. Wish I had a snuffer bottle to just like suck it all out. Yeah, look at all that gold just flushing out of the pan right now. Mm-hmm. Into the other pan, of course. Yeah, no, it's unpannable. Yeah, we're just losing it all. So, I don't know. There's a lot of gold here. That's cool. Mm-hmm. I'm just gonna get rid of as much of the black sand as I can and a bunch of gold, and then we'll just be left over with a little something. Alright, put it all in the corner. The flash in the pan that we're all hoping for. That looks good. Mm-hmm. There you go. So, quick and dirty. What do you think, Chris?
Seems like a decent amount of gold for such a little piece.
Yeah. Make it 3D. What's cool about this is that in the future, when we know we roughly get this percentage in the hopper, this percentage in gold fingers, and this percentage in the main box, you can do this, get an estimation, and then actually be like, oh, hey, we have this much today. That'd be kind of nice just to keep an eye on what's going on. But yeah, let's get this safely in a bucket and, you know, make camp before it rains again. Yeah. Yeah, I won't show you guys the rest of the clean out because we'll have all this at home at some point, but it's what we're working with.
Where are you going?
That's Chewy the beaver. Just having a look at our work. Checking out the territory. Trying to find a high banker to chew on. What will you do next, Chewy?